Hey, and we're back on the Cuban couch. I'm here with Chris Mills.
Hello.
So, for those people out there that don't know who Chris Mills is, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I'm traditionally a UK-based speedcuber, but I do a lot of travel. I am currently the 3x3 UK national record holder for both single and average. I also like to see myself as somebody who's trying to push the community into maybe more of like a sport mindset and trying to think about the future of speed cubing, not just about how to get fast right in the now. I am currently in New Zealand, so my dad is from New Zealand, so I've spent a lot of time here as a kid and stuff.
Right.
And now I'm older. I've spent some time here by myself. So in 2021, I lived here on my own. I actually worked for a cube store, which was pretty awesome, and was living fully off cubing. So I've spent a lot of time over here at the competitions. I've set a few national records in this country, obviously still for the UK. But yeah, right now I am currently in New Zealand.
So, before we go any further, I think it's best to do what I like to do, which is called a 30-second Q&A, just to break the ice.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so I've got a 30-second timer over here, and we're just going to try and go through as many questions as we can. 3, 2, 1, go. So, who is your favourite cuber?
Oh, probably Timon Koloshinsky.
What's your most memorable cubing moment?
I think when I set my first national record, which was a 7.27 average.
If you could have a world record in any event other than 3x3, which one would it be?
Probably Megaminx.
What's the favourite country you've competed in?
Australia.
And what is your most unpopular cubing opinion?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe everybody in the WCA should be paid a living wage.
All right, the 30
Maybe.
seconds actually went really
But I
quickly.
think that could also be quite popular.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it's because of the ping. We've got like the 30 seconds just flew by there. So that was our 30-second Q&A there. So
That was good fun.
So what got you into cubing? How did you start?
So in 2014, I think I was just hanging around at my house, and my older brother, he had a friend round, and he saw a cube that we just had lying around for a while, and he solved it. I think it took him a couple of minutes, but he knew how to do it. And I was a bit of a bored kid at the time. I had lots of different hobbies, bouncing in and out of hobbies, and I saw that and I was like, oh, that looks fun. I'm going to learn how to do that. So I sat down, I opened up YouTube, and I learned how to do it. I think it took me a few days to get it down. But from there, I just thought it would be cool to time my solves. I think I grabbed a kitchen timer from the fridge and just started pushing the button, starting the solves. I think I was at 3 minutes and then slowly got faster and faster. And then I remember watching one of the Me, Myself, and Pi World's 2013 videos. And then I was like, oh, this is so cool. There's these competitions. I want to do this. I want to do that. From there, I was just like, okay, I got to go to a competition and just rabbit hole from there.
So how long was it between starting cubing and going to your first comp?
So I think I first solved the cube in early June of 2014, and my first competition was mid-October. So yeah, only a few months.
So what sort of other hobbies were you doing at that time?
I was definitely playing some Minecraft. I was a bit into like exploring like the local woods and stuff. I did a bit of trampolining. I was going through loads of different things. I was a big into Lego as well, and creating cool things with Lego, as well as just like buying stuff. Yeah, I have no idea why I settled on cubing. I think it was probably the community and the friends I made through it.
True.
Because all these other hobbies, it was kind of just me on my own at home doing it. Maybe my mum would do some with me, but yeah, I think it was definitely making friends at my first competition that made me stick around with cubing.
Can you remember how long it took you to do your first solve? Like how many minutes, how many hours?
I think I did 2x2 on the first day, and I did terribly because I was really nervous. But my first official 3x3 solve, I think, was a 25 with a PLL skip.
Wow.
It was quite funny. There is a video of it somewhere, and it's funny to watch back on it.
I mean, 25 after starting like quite recently at that time is still a good time.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I definitely improved quite fast because it was basically all I was doing for a few months.
Right. So when did you start your YouTube channel?
I think it was before my second competition. So it was probably around November of 2014.
Right. It's quite a while back then. You've got a lot of years experience.
Yeah, I guess so. I think I've got all of those old videos privated, and I go back and
Oh.
watch them with friends sometimes, and it's very cringe, and there's a reason they are privated.
Why are they privated?
Just a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
When did you decide to private them after releasing them?
I don't know, actually. They were definitely up for a while. That was probably more of a in the last few years kind of thing.
Could you give us a teaser into like what sort of videos you've got rid of?
I think all of my like competition solves I've left up, because I think that's kind of cool, and it's like I'm fine with having those up. I think there was like I did an intro to my channel, and I did like a 2x2 to 4x4 relay and talked about my cubing and stuff. And I think I did a couple of reviews, like there were like kind of high production quality reviews in my eyes as a 12-year-old. But watching back now, they're not very good. But I was very much copying what the other top reviewers were doing, like Chris Olsen, and I think it was LA Cuba I used to watch as well, but he doesn't post anymore.
I mean, what did the videos look like starting out? Like, what equipment did you use?
Yeah, I think I had like this family quite good video camera. I think it was like maybe it was a DSLR or something.
Wow.
And it actually filmed like some kind of decent stuff. And then I think I got like a blue snowball in like 2015 for my birthday. And I think that, that improved the audio quality. But I was working with some pretty good stuff. Like we had a tripod lying around. We had some pretty good cameras lying around. I was definitely fortunate where it wasn't just me scraping together with a potato webcam or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, what was the goal for YouTube when you started?
I was just doing it for fun. I think I'd done some YouTube with like, I did lots of Lego stop motion animation stuff when I was younger, like a couple of years prior. And I'd also done some like Minecraft videos, I think. So I'd always been into YouTube. I've been watching YouTube a lot since a young age. And I've wanted to post myself on there too, just out of pure passion and nothing else at that point, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people starting out, they just make videos for the fun of it and they just make random stuff. And then eventually they start to work out what they actually want to do with the channel. So you mentioned Me, Myself and Pi in 2014.
Yes.
Who else did you watch in those days, and what did YouTube look like in 2014?
Yeah, so I think it was like JR Cuba, Crazy Bad Cuba. I mentioned LA Cuba. He's not around anymore, but he was like a younger guy who did some pretty cool videos. I think Chris Olsen was posting a bit. Yeah, it was mostly just like the kind of traditional review unboxing type videos, and less of the like more creative stuff we see today with like the cool competition vlogs and the challenge videos and stuff like that. It was very like vanilla, just like everybody kind of doing the same thing.
Interesting. So let's see how well Chris Mills knows himself. So I've got a few facts here about you, and I'm going to see how many you can get right. Which comp did you get your most recent 3x3 national record?
That would be Wakefield Autumn.
Yeah, that's right. What is your current FMC personal record single?
29. I have 2 of them.
Yeah. How many current WCA events have you competed in?
Current, so we're not including fee. 15?
Yeah, that's right. What position in the UK are you for 4x4 average?
3rd.
That's right. And then last question. What year did you get your first 3 blind average at comp?
2022.
Yeah. So why was that so recent? Like, why did it take you so long?
I've never practiced free blind, really. Like, I did it years ago to try and get my first success, because I did that in like 2015. But yeah, like maybe I'll do like a couple of solves when I get really bored, but that's it. Like, I've never sat down and done like a big session or anything. And I've never thought critically about why I'm bad or why I'm slow. And I think at that one competition, I'd done 2 multi-blind attempts, like trying to do 2 out of 2. I DNF'd both of them. I think I maybe succeeded. I got like 1 out of 2 in one of them. But just because I'd done those multi-blind attempts, that was like more practice than I'd done for free blindfolded in like years. So then when I finally got to that round, I also had 2 minutes more time to do the free solves than I would in the UK, because this was in Denmark.
Right.
So then I thought, this is a really good opportunity for me to play it safe and try and get an average or a mean. And my reaction was really cool, and I was recording, but the footage was corrupted, which is really sad.
So what events do you practice the most? Like, what's your main events?
So I'd say 3x3's the main one. More recently, I've started practicing a lot of Mega Minx.
Right.
I kind of picked that up after Euros in July. A few of my friends kind of inspired me, and I've been really enjoying it, and I've kind of been improving quite fast. I'm already like 60th in the world. Although my official results for Mega Minx are really good for me. I'm also pretty good at 4x4. I did a lot of practice in 4x4 last year. I started aiming for the national record, and then I kind of lost track of that and lost focus trying to get it. So I don't have that goal anymore. And I'm also pretty good at one-handed as well. And then like I used to be good at doing like 2x2 pyramid cube, but now I don't really do those anymore.
I mean, do you practice the events you know you could be good at, or is it just the ones that you enjoy more?
Yeah, I think it's more the ones I enjoy, and I kind of force myself to practice 3x3 sometimes when I'd prefer to do Mega Minx, just because I want to get my national records. I want to improve my national records, and I know I can definitely improve the average. So just with like a little bit of practice before each comp, it at least gives me a shot to beat them.
So like, let's say there was an event you didn't really enjoy much, but you knew if you practiced, you could potentially do really well and maybe get a national record, maybe come like top 3. Would you still practice that event?
No, I don't think so. Unless maybe if it was 3x3, because it's kind of like the prestige for 3x3 is very different to the other events. But I think there probably is events where I think, those national records look kind of easy, but I also don't want to go for them. Like, I'd rather just focus on the more popular events that I prefer.
I mean, when did you start to really see some improvement in your cubing times?
I think it was early 2018. So I started in 2014, and I did a lot of cubing in 2014 and 2015, and I kind of quite fastly improved. And in 2015, I was like podiuming in like Pyraminx and Scube at competitions. And then I think I got a new PlayStation, and I started playing games with my friends, and I kind of lost focus on cubing through 2016 and 2017. It definitely, went on like the back burner. I was still going to competitions and I was still practicing a bit, but it wasn't like my main hobby. But I was in New Zealand in 2017. I went to New Zealand Nationals, and after that I was like inspired to improve again. And I got home and I was like, I want to get sub 10 on 3x3. I practiced 3x3, got sub 10, and then it just like kept on snowballing, and I was getting faster and faster. And then in early 2019, I realized that if I practiced really hard, I could go for national record 3x3 average. And I think that's when I thought, okay, no, I'm going to do more cubing. I'm going to become a fast cuber instead of just one of the guys who kind of gets to a good, respectable speed and kind of stops. I wanted to achieve something.
Yeah, I think a lot of people drop off at the point you are now, where they don't really push as far as they could. They just kind of settle with what they have and then either just quit or just move on or something. So you've probably gone past where most people would stop.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think lots of people, I'm 8 years into my cubing career now, and I feel like I'm still pushing limits. I'm still like, I can beat this record, I can beat that one, I can beat this personal record, I want to beat this personal record. Where I think lots of people at this stage would be like, I'm just going to the competition to have fun, see my friends. But I obviously still do that, and I still love meeting people at competitions, but I'm definitely still very focused on my own times and trying to improve them.
Right. And what would you say is the difference between someone like you who is like top 100 compared to someone who's pushing for world records? Like, what's the difference between those?
I'm not sure. I think maybe their practice is a lot more deliberate than mine. Like, I don't really practice that much, but I still want to improve. But maybe their drive has been like really solid for a lot longer than mine, and they've been like very solidly practicing for a few years, which has got them to the higher level than I am.
I mean, if you were to know that you have a comp in a week's time, how would you prepare for that comp?
Yeah, it very much depends. So some competitions, I've been to like 24 competitions this year, so I'm less preparing for each individual competition and more preparing well for like the big ones, like the European Championships, the UK Champs, stuff like that. So I don't really prepare for like just the standard competitions I go to. I'll obviously still practice, but it's mainly like the big ones. I'll start to think about competition simulation, when I should stop learning algorithms, what events I actually should be practicing to do well at that competition. But usually it's just pretty chill.
So what is competition simulation for those people that don't know?
Okay, so lots of people struggle with nerves in some competition environments. So to try and give yourself practice to deal with those nerves when the situation arises, you try and make your at-home environment as similar to that competition environment as possible. For example, when I was preparing for 3x3 at the UK Championships, I was very aware of the fact that I could get very nervous in the head-to-head final and completely mess up, because I had done that before. So I came up with this, I think, quite good competition simulation plan where I would sit down at my desk before I started cubing, and I'd start a timer for an hour. That hour was supposed to simulate the amount of time I'd be waiting to do my solves in the head-to-head final, because I knew I was going to be waiting around for a while because I was going to be like quite high up. So I did that. I then had that hour to warm up. I'd allow myself to do whatever I want. I could go get a snack, I could watch YouTube, but once that hour was up, I had to start my average. So I didn't, I think a lot of people will just like warm up, and then when they think they're ready, they'll start the average, but that's not what it's like in a real competition. So I did that, and then I would start the average. I wasn't watching anything or listening to anything during the solves, obviously. I think I put earplugs in for solves because I do that at competition. I had a cube cover and I timed inspection. I also made sure to stagger each solve by a minute, because that's what they're usually like in a head-to-head format. And then I did one of those averages every day, and then kind of recorded all of the averages in a little note document. So I went pretty in depth there, but I usually competition simulation is more like you just pretend you have a judge and you're timing inspection. But I went next level.
I mean, that's like a really good strategy. I might start using that, because it's the countdown that like gets you nervous, like knowing that you're going to be doing your solve in a bit. That's what gets your nerves going.
Yeah, so when I'd see the timer's got 10 minutes remaining, and in my session, my warm-up session, I'm getting 8s, I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get a terrible average today, and then I'll have to wait until tomorrow to get a good average, and oh no. So yeah, it definitely worked, and it definitely helped, because I did do quite well in the UK Champs final. I didn't win, because I got very nervous on the last couple of solves, which was, I just couldn't simulate that. The amount of pressure I felt on those solves, knowing what I had to beat, knowing the crowd was there, knowing all of the practice I put in, that's just, I can't simulate that at home. And it's something I've got to practice in situations, in competitions over the next few years, I think.
Right. Yeah, we were actually planning on doing this podcast with you at UKC, but you were super busy.
Yeah.
How do you balance all the time, like in a comp? Because you compete in a lot of events as well. So like, how do you balance all the events?
I think the answer is I don't. I mostly just have a couple of events I'm focused on for a competition. So for UK Champs, the primary focus was 3x3. And then I also had a bit of focus on Megaminx. And then ideally, I'd also be well practiced in 4x4, one-handed, and 5x5. Like, those are ones I knew if I was practiced well, I could have a shot of the podium. For 4x4, I also had a shot at winning. But I just didn't plan my time well enough to firstly practice before the competition and also warm up during. I still did quite well in one-handed and 4x4, but not very well in 5x5.
So, like, how many algs would you say you know in total for cubing?
I really don't know. In the probably mid-hundreds. For 3x3 alone, I know like 150 ZBLLs.
Wow.
And then, I actually probably know maybe 300 3x3 algorithms, which is definitely the majority of my knowledge. So yeah, probably around 500. I'd estimate.
Which alg sets did you learn in which order, and how did that fit into like your timeline of cubing?
Yeah, I definitely learned algs slower than most. At my first competition, I think I used 4-look last layer, with so 2-look OLL, 2-look PLL, and then I finished PLL by like early 2015, like after I got sub 20, I think, and then I didn't finish OLL. I actually didn't finish learning the dot OLL cases until I already had my 7.27 national record average.
Right.
Which is a little bit crazy, and I would not recommend doing that. Definitely learn algorithms as fast as you can. So I think I finished OLL and PLL in like 2019. And in 2020, I started learning ZBLL. I maybe learned like 70 that year, another 30 in 2021. Another 50 this year, and I still want to learn more. Right now I'm trying to focus more on competing, because you have to balance your algorithm learning and competing, because if you're in the zone of learning algorithms, you're unlikely to get good results, because if you get one of those algorithms in a competition, you're going to pause because you don't fully know it yet.
So you focus more on like reinforcing the algs rather than new ones.
Exactly. Yeah, reinforcing the algs and working on my F2L at the moment. And then maybe over Christmas, after I've finished my 2 bigger competitions coming up, then I'll go back to learning some algorithms to prepare for my next comps next year.
I mean, if you had to start over again in cubing, how would you do it differently in terms of learning algs, practicing certain events? Like, what would you do differently?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think, I would definitely probably give myself like a strict routine of when to learn algs and like plan it out months in advance, because that would be really helpful. Yeah, I'd make sure I still met all the friends I met, because having friends, the friends I met were faster than me, and having friends that are faster than you is very helpful.
I think it applies to like any other like industry, if you like, where if you have people that are better than you at something, or like really motivated at something, and you're like in around that circle, then you feel motivated as well. So I think that's the same thing in cubing.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's very true.
So you've been hovering at the 7 to 8 second mark for 3x3 average for quite a while now. What do you think you need to do now in order to get like consistent sub 7s in comps?
That's a really interesting question. That's something I've definitely been thinking about recently. I think I just need to do more solves at home at the moment. Like, I've been traveling a lot, and my practicing has definitely, the amount of practice has definitely gone down recently. So I think to get my consistency up, or just like more consistent, I just need to do more solves. I do a lot of solves where I get like a full step low 6 or a full step high 5. So I think I definitely have the ability to get to that level consistently if I just do enough practice.
So how many solves did you say you do now? Like per day, per week?
Very inconsistent. But I probably have some days where I do like 3 to 500 and some days where I do like 20.
And how many solves do you think you need in order to break the barrier?
I think if I consistently did like 200, 300 solves a day, then I would break that sub 7 barrier reasonably quickly.
What would you say is the difference between someone who just does mindless solves, like let's say they do 500 solves a day, versus someone else who does like 50 solves a day, but they're practicing something very specific?
Well, the person that comes into mind when you say somebody who practices 50 solves a day and is really precise with their practice is Lucas Etter.
Right.
He, because he had the problems with arthritis, juvenile arthritis, when he finally came back to cubing after a break, he was very limited to only doing 50 solves a day, because that's what he could physically do before he experienced pain. So he was very critical about making sure every one of those 50 solves counted, which I think definitely helped him, because we saw his times improve quite a bit. So that's something I want to try, is like giving myself a limit like that and being a lot more methodical with those set solves. But I think each speed cuber should do a bit of both. They should go through a phase of being very critical and improving everything they do. And then maybe if they're preparing for a good competition, a big competition like a world championships, they do that for the months up before. And then maybe the 2 or 3 weeks before the competition, they completely ditch that. And then they just do mindless 500 solves a day for the last few weeks. I think that's probably ideal, because then you've spending ages making sure everything you're doing is correct. And then you forget about it and just go mindless solving into proper competition mode for the last couple of weeks.
I mean, there's not a lot of videos or tutorials or people talking about deliberate practice out there. How would you suggest someone deliberately practices certain aspects of their solves?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. That's something I want to know as well, but I'll tell you what I think I know. I think you've got to, whenever you make a mistake in a session, just like you're doing a 3x3 session or whatever, and you make a mistake, go back and fix the mistake. If you did the wrong algorithm and it gave you a bad case, then go back, try and set up that case again and do a different thing, and then, figure out what you should have done in a ideal world. And then hopefully the next time you get that case, you do what you should have done, because you spent that time thinking about, what the actual best thing to do is. So I think it's definitely just like looking at your solves more critically, and whenever you make a mistake, you fix it as quickly as possible.
I mean, what speed do you think you'd suggest that kind of practice to? Would you suggest that to like slower cubers, faster cubers?
I think anybody. I think it would definitely help anybody, because they're all going to find different flaws and they're going to see different flaws. But I think everybody knows when they made a mistake, no matter what speed they are. So I think, that advice is definitely helpful for any speed.
I think the main difference is that in mindless solves, you just do a solve, you forget what you did wrong and then just move on. And then you never get a chance to like really reflect on what you did wrong. So you travel quite a lot. You said you went to like 20-something comps in the last year. So
yes, yeah.
Other than YouTube and cubing, so are you a student or?
So I'm actually not studying. I've tried a bit of study before, but I've since like dropped out, and I don't think I'm ready for it yet. So as a kid, I set up this little business in the village I live in the UK, where I walk local dogs. That was like a thing I did when I was 10 or 11 to make a little bit of money to, I think, probably buy Lego and then cubes. So then my mum would help me do that. And now when I'm away, she does it. When I'm back, I do it, which makes me like a little bit of money. It's not like a full-time job or anything, but it definitely helps sustain my like cubing and stuff. I'm a Rubik's ambassador, which pays me a bit of money. So that really helps with sustaining my travel.
Right.
But I'm still trying to figure out what I don't want to do, really. I'm kind of having a good time traveling to competitions and kind of experiencing stuff at the moment. I say I'm on my gap years because I'm 20 at this point and I still haven't gone to uni. But I'm in no rush to really get into a career, get into a university course. I'm just kind of having a good time and experiencing stuff at the moment.
So you touched upon the sort of income you're getting. So do you get revenue on YouTube as well?
I do not. No, it's just through my sponsorships at the moment.
And what do you think the difference is between where you are now and, hitting that full-time Cuba mark? Like, is it achievable, do you think?
Yeah. Well, I've kind of already achieved it. So in 2021, I came to New Zealand and I worked for speedcube.co.nz, the like main store over here. And I was working there part-time. I was doing like distribution, and they also had a retail store in person, which I helped manage and also worked there myself, which was awesome. One of the best experiences I've ever had. Sadly for them, they weren't able to keep it open because there wasn't enough. The interest fell because the craze died over here. But the online store is still going. So that was an awesome experience. I was working there part-time. I also had my Rubik sponsorship, and between that, I was fully living off cubing alone. I was paying rent. I was buying myself food, everything a normal adult would do, I was doing solely off money I got from speedcubing and working at the store, which was awesome. And I definitely think I can get myself into that position again. I don't know if it would be working at a cube store again, or making more YouTube videos, or getting faster so I get more money from my sponsorship, but it's definitely achievable, and it's something I do want to try and achieve again.
Interesting. I mean, like, for those that don't have cube stores near them, which is probably quite a lot of people, how do you think they would go about becoming a full-time cuber, in quotation marks? Well,
I didn't have a cube store near me, and I moved across the entire world to work at this cube store. I sent some emails, and the guy who worked there, Mike, awesome guy, he's done a lot for me. He found me a place to stay, and we organized it all through there, and then I flew across the world to have this job opportunity because I knew how awesome it would be, and it was awesome. But yeah, I guess for people who are younger and they don't have the money I did to be able to do that, definitely just don't be afraid to send some emails to local people, like the local cube store you've got, even if it is a few hours away. Maybe you'd be able to work a bit and send some emails for them, but just, yeah, don't be afraid to spend some time thinking about a good email to write. And because that's exactly what I did. I just saw this guy, and I saw he'd just bought this cube store off somebody else I knew, and he was growing, and I was like, he might need somebody, so I just sent him an email. So yeah, just don't be afraid to ask people stuff, I guess.
What I can think of in terms of making money as a YouTuber is that, like, you need to diversify your income streams. So you need multiple ways to earn money, not just one on YouTube. A lot of people are thinking that they need just ad revenue to, like, just make it on ad revenue. But there's quite a lot of different ways. Like, so I'm curious as to why you haven't gone about creating your own setup of a cube and then selling that, and then maybe getting part of the revenue on that.
Well, that was something I did do with speedcube.co.nz. It wasn't really our focus, but we did work on that a bit. But yeah, that is an interesting question. I'm not really sure. Like, that's something I definitely think I could do, and I know a lot about speedcubing hardware and speedcubing setup, but I guess I haven't been given the right opportunity to do that at a large scale yet.
Right.
Maybe that's something I should work on with the Cubicle, because obviously they do that with Cubehead and obviously a lot of other people, but Cubehead's definitely their main one. I think it's definitely a very good business model and a very good way for speedcubers to make money, but it's just something I haven't fully tapped into yet.
Because I think physical and digital products are, like, the best way to make money as a YouTuber. So, like, you could probably make quite a lot just doing that, like selling physical products.
Yeah, I agree. But that's definitely something I should work on.
You should, definitely.
Yeah.
You should. With the influence you have, I think it's a must. It's a must at this point.
Yeah.
In terms of the sponsorship, you're probably very limited in what you're allowed to say, like, are the agreements between you, Rubik's, the Cubicle. But, like, how do they all tie together? So you've got 2 sponsorships, and a lot of people don't realize you can have 2 sponsorships.
Yeah, the common relationship for a speedcuber's sponsorships is you have a manufacturer. The most common ones are, for me, it's Rubik's. Right. You also have people like Gan, Chi, Moyu. But I'm a Rubik's ambassador, so that's my manufacturer. And then you also have a cube store that sponsors you as well. That's like what most speedcubers have. So for me, it's the Cubicle, but I have previously been sponsored by speedcube.co.nz when I worked there. And there's also like Speedcube Shop in America as well. Those are common ones. So yeah, I have the Cubicle and Rubik's. Rubik's more help me financially with, like, paying for travel, and also they give me a bit of money just because they think I deserve it, which is nice of them. And then the Cubicle, they're more of they provide me with all of the cubes I need, which when you're at a top level, when you're trying to make sure all of your cubes are perfect and that you don't have to think about them, that's a lot of money going into cubes. So the Cubicle is extremely helpful with just always being able to send me, like, the top cubes I need to perform at my best.
Right. So did the Cubicle reach out to you, or did you send an email to them?
I sent an email to them, yeah. After I got both my UK national record average and single in like the summer of 2019, I realized that I was in quite a good position to inquire with them for a sponsorship. I got a friend, an intelligent friend of mine who's a UK delegate, James Malloy, to help me write an email to the Cubicle, and we structured it really well. We thought of everything that I have achieved which makes me valuable to them, and then sent that off, and within the new year I was sponsored.
So in terms of sponsorships, how would you suggest someone goes about getting one? Like how would they structure their applications, things like that?
Well, firstly, you're not going to get a sponsorship if you have nothing to offer. A sponsorship is a two-way deal. The company needs to get something and you need to get something. So the more you have to give, the more you're going to get. So, for example, Timon gets a lot more than me because he has world record 3x3 average. And that's extremely valuable for a company to go, we sponsor this person, he uses our cubes and he gets world records. It's less valuable for them to go, we sponsor Chris Mills, he uses these cubes to get national records. That's obviously still valuable and has some influence, but it's less valuable. So I guess there's a couple of ways you can go about sponsorships. You can either have a really good online appearance, like you can have a good YouTube channel, a good Instagram with followers, and it's not really about the numbers of followers, it's about how strong your followers are. Like if you have a lot of interaction in your videos and a big fan base, but maybe it's only a few thousand proper fans, that's a lot more than that's got a lot more influence than like a meme Instagram page with 100,000 followers. Like that, they don't have much influence. People just scroll past them and go haha and click. But if it's like a YouTube, they'll go, oh wow, they're interacting with 10-minute long videos. It's a lot bigger of an influence. So I think I've got my sponsorships from a bit of both. I have quite a good online presence, but I'm also a good speedcuber. But you can definitely go either way. But I think you definitely want at least some online presence, even if it's quite small. But yeah, once you know that you've got something to offer, so maybe you've got a good few hundred YouTube subscribers and you know that people really like your videos, or you've got some high ranking results in the WCA, then just tell the person you want to get sponsored by, send them an email, find them on Facebook Messenger, something like that. They usually have a good way of contacting them, and then just list out all of the reasons you think you would be valuable to them. And then if they agree, from there you can go, okay, I think I'm worth this amount of money or this amount of free cubes or something like that. But I've heard of a lot of people just kind of getting free cubes, which they can definitely get more. So be aware of how much you are worth and know that companies have a lot of money. So if you were quite valuable, they can give you a lot of money.
I mean, you touched upon a very interesting point, which is engagement over numbers. I think a lot of people look at the numbers like I have 5,000 subscribers, I have 20,000 followers, but they don't realize that a smaller audience that's more engaged is better than what they have. Because like with shorts, you could get, like you're probably familiar with how shorts work. You can blow up in subscriber counts, but your engagement on your actual videos won't be that high. So I think I think Cube stores actually look at engagement more than the numbers.
If they're smart, they would. I reckon, because there's so many people that have millions of views on their YouTube shorts, but that doesn't mean they have influence.
Yeah. Have you come across any setbacks in your cubing career?
I think probably the main example is I went to Worlds 2019 in Melbourne, and I was very much looking forward to that competition, and I had all my travel planned. I'd spent quite a bit of money on it as well, and that was before I was getting money from sponsorship, so that was money I had spent a lot of time saving up, and I'd practiced a lot, and I knew I wanted to do well, and then I got ill during the trip. I had loads of anxiety. I wasn't feeling very well. the long flights took a massive toll on me. I was sleeping awfully, got really bad insomnia. And I had the 2 competitions in Australia. I had warm-up Sydney, which was the week before, and then the World Championships. And at the World Championships, I got 0 personal records across every event in every round, which I had done once before, but that was, it hurt to spend that much money and that much time doing this crazy trip that I was so excited for. I was 17 at the time. Yeah, I still have some good memories from the competition, but it still kind of hurts to look back on, knowing that whole trip that so many people had the best life doing. For me, it was awful, and yeah, it still hurts to look back on, and I still have bad memories from it. So I think that was definitely a massive setback, and after that, I think I was considering stopping all my dedicated practice I was doing, because that was before I got my national records, and that was the competitions I was hoping to do really well and break the sub-8 barrier and all of that. But I think I was definitely saved with 2 weeks or a week after I got back. I went to a UK competition, and that's the one I got my first national record at.
Right.
Without that, I think it could be completely different, and I might not be cubing today.
So you had your confidence completely destroyed and then completely restored within a week or 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. If I did terribly at that UK competition, I would have quit.
Do you think if you were to completely lose your confidence at that comp, would you have probably taken a break and then come back after a bit, or do you think you would have just completely forgotten about cubing at all?
I think I definitely would have come back, because I still had a lot of friends in cubing that I wanted to see, but I definitely would have taken a break from my practice, because I was practicing a lot at that time. So I definitely would have stopped practicing, and maybe I would have dropped out of a couple of competitions just to kind of chill out a bit more and focus on other things. But yeah, that was definitely a big changing point, where it could have gone one way or it could have gone the other, and the national record just set me down the right path.
I mean, in terms of you cubing, you've mentioned how you've had your files corrupt. So was that a comp vlog, or what was that?
Yeah, so earlier, or at the end, the middle to the end of summer, I started that comp vlog series, Summer of Speed Cubing. That was kind of just something I wanted to experiment with and give more consistent uploads a go. Each weekend I was competing, and then after the weekend I'd edit the video, I'd post it, and then I'd go compete again 7 weeks in a row. That was the idea. And on the 4th competition, the Danish Championship one, the one with the free blind mean, I was filming. I still have all of the kind of the vlog footage from my phone, but to make these vlogs, I require all of the solves from the competition, which was recorded on my GoPro. So I had all of that, and I was at a friend's, and I think I was at a dinner table doing some factory solves with Timon or something, and then we left to go to the airport, and I was filming those solves with my GoPro, and I left the GoPro on my friend's dining room table. And then we didn't realize until it was kind of too late to go back. So I was okay, that's fine. I kind of need a new GoPro anyway, or I can get him to send me it, and he's fine with sending me the footage. Later in that day, or the day after, he tried to send me the footage, and something went wrong, and it all got corrupted. I knew I couldn't really scrap together one of my vlogs just from this footage I had from my phone. So yeah, it was lost from there, and I just had to decide that week was gone, and I just had to focus on the next week instead.
So so you mentioned you used a GoPro. So what's your current YouTube setup?
So at that point, I had this, I think it was the GoPro Hero entry level one. They kind of made a budget one. And I got that in 2015, and I'd been using that at competitions since 2015. I think there was a couple of periods where I used some other stuff, but I always went back to that one GoPro. So that GoPro's filmed all of my national records and everything. But then Phil from the Cubicle, he helped me fund a new GoPro, so it's in a bag somewhere, but I currently have the GoPro Max, which is their 360 camera.
Right.
So Timon and I both decided that it would be a good camera to get at the same time, because at a really big competition with big crowds, it's so cool to be able to show the entire crowd and the whole reaction, not just your reaction, but the whole room's reaction. I've been able to capture some cool stuff with the 360 camera, and so's he, and it's actually been awesome. I think in hindsight, the GoPro 360 camera wasn't the best one to get. I think there's definitely better 360 cameras, but I think for competition solves, 360 cameras are the future because it's so cool what you can capture.
I mean, why do you think it's only like a few people using these kinds of 360 cameras? Why isn't it more people?
I think a lot of people are either like a pretty set in stone, like either I'm a content creator and I make videos at home and maybe I vlog competitions, and then there's speed solvers who just record their solves very vanilla like and then just post them. And I think it's Timon and I who are thinking more about making these solves at competitions more spectator friendly, like more that we can get more views on YouTube from these solves and make it more appealing to not just speed cubers watching solves, but also the general population going, wow, then now they can go, wow, look at those crowds, look how cool the atmosphere is, not just look at that guy turning plastic. Like we're definitely taking it further, which I just don't think many people have thought about yet.
So you mainly produce vlogs and solve videos. So what goes into a cubing vlog? Like what do you define as a good cubing vlog?
This is something I've been thinking about. I have footage from a vlog I recorded in Melbourne a few weeks ago that I haven't crafted together yet. I haven't really had the time or the like mental space to do it yet, but that's something I will be doing soon because I've thought of a storyline. I've got a way to link the start to the end. I've got ideas of what I want to talk about in the video to like kind of make it a story similar to like what Tingman does. I'm quite inspired by the way he story tells in his competition vlogs. With my vlogs I did earlier this year, it was very much like I think I got too set in stone with the idea of what I did. It was like I show the travel to my competition, I put some cool music in the background. Since I'm not monetized, I was just putting any odd music. I was just putting the music like I listen to, which I think is really cool that I'm able to do that. But obviously, if I want to do this more seriously, I have to rethink that because of making money, obviously. But it was like film the travel to my competitions, film, maybe say some of my goals for the official events. After I would compete, I'd talk to my phone and I'd be like, yeah, I just did 3x3. I did okay. Maybe I could have done this better. Next up is 4x4. I hope I do well. It's kind of stuff like that. Which I think in hindsight isn't that important to record at the competition. You kind of just need to remember your thoughts about it, maybe note them down, and then you can record it in a voiceover afterwards. I think that's what like Tingman does.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely just like capturing my solves, capturing my thoughts about each round, and also capturing a bit of me doing the kind of fun stuff with friends, like going out for dinner afterwards, doing some like relay stuff. I do a couple of like funny bits, like I went up to my friend and be like, dude, I love your car, what do you do for a living? And stuff like that. Just like having a bit of fun with it as well, and keeping it lighthearted.
I mean, I think what a lot of the modern cubing vlogs are like now is they go into the comp with a certain goal or a certain theme in mind. So maybe they're going into the comp with the aim of beating a certain record or beating a certain PB. And so that creates, like, as you said, a storyline for the viewers to then follow through with the cuber to see whether or not they can hit that goal. Because I think going into a comp without any goal and just doing solves doesn't give the viewer any reason to care for your solves. And unless you actually say what you're trying to do, it gives the viewers a reason to watch your video instead of someone else's. That's awesome. Yeah, that's right. For this vlog I'm gonna be crafting up soon. It was my goal for the competition was to meet all these Australian cubers I'd talk to a bit and meet loads of people and have a really fun time. And my results, my official results, were very much
to the side. I knew that I was jet lagged. I wasn't well practiced. I was not going to perform at my best, and I still did quite well. But I was not going to perform at my best. So my focus was go there, meet people, have fun. And I did that. And I've got lots of footage of me having fun with friends. So I think I can definitely craft that into a whole story.
I mean, do you think you'd ever reach a point where your content would sacrifice your cubing ability, in the sense that you'd focus more on like capturing the footage instead of actually doing well at the comp?
Yeah, that's something I'm quite aware of. I know that if I'm focusing too much on recording all the time, I'm not going to have that time to warm up. So I think I've got to come up with like a pretty set routine of how I do it, just so I'm not thinking about it all the time and I have some time to think about my actual solves. But I think doing the voiceovers afterwards and stuff, that's something that helps, as long as I keep maybe like a notepad with thoughts. I need to start doing that so I still have stuff to talk about in the vlog. So I think, as long as I capture all of my solves, I write down my thoughts after the round maybe, and then I capture the fun stuff with my friends. Just from those small things, I can craft together a pretty good vlog and also still have a lot of time to focus on my official results.
I mean, how do you think cubing vlogs will like evolve over time? Like, what do you think cubing competition vlogs will look like in a few years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd like to see a lot more of what I'm doing, which is higher level competitors vlogging.
Yeah.
Because we have some of that. Like, I think Matti Hiroto Inaba does some vlogging, but it's not really at the high production level that like Cubehead has, or Tingman. Cubehead's quite a good example actually, because he is a pretty good speed cuber in Belgium. Yeah. Like, he's trying to get national records and stuff. So that's a really interesting person to follow. And I'd like to see him do a lot more vlogs. So yeah, I think just seeing more vlogs from the competitor perspective would be really awesome to see, and I hope we see that in the next few years.
Like, if you had to think of like 3 tips you have to give someone that's just about to start cubing vlogs. You know, they've got their smartphone, they've got a tripod, they're just about to start cubing vlogging. What would be your like top 3 tips?
Yeah, okay. Well, I've seen a lot of vlogs where they kind of just chuck a clip after clip after clip with not really much thought about the structure of it, or if it's actually entertaining.
Yeah.
So I think I opened up a vlog and there was 10 seconds of them just walking into the venue and I got bored and clicked off immediately. So you've got to think quite critically about, is this actually worth putting in my vlog? And there's lots of clips that I record that I never use because it doesn't add to the narrative. It's not an interesting thing for somebody to look at and go, oh, that's that person, or, oh, look at that solve somebody's doing. That's kind of cool. Like, if they don't engage with what I'm showing them, it's not interesting and I'm going to cut it out. So just kind of, for new people, just think about, will people actually want to look at this 10-second clip?
An interesting vlog that I saw recently was one from a creator called He's a Cuber. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yes, I've seen that. That was awesome.
I think what they did that was really good was that they built the narrative around their friends instead of themselves.
Yes.
So they like followed their friends around throughout the comp to see if they're hitting their goals. I think that was quite a creative way to do cubing vlogs.
Yeah. I was very inspired by that video, and that's something I definitely want to do as well, is not just focus the vlog on me, but focus it on my friends who are also really entertaining or really fast at speed cubing themselves. I think that was a very smart thing to do, and I loved that vlog he made. It was awesome.
They also did really well on YouTube, based on like YouTube's metrics. I think it got over 100,000 views, so it did really well.
It was awesome.
A very good video. I'll link it somewhere. But that was a good vlog.
Go watch it.
I mean, so you mainly do vlogs, but you also had a period of time where you did podcasts.
Yes, yeah. I think it was in 2020 I started a podcast called The Cuba in Focus.
Yeah.
I wasn't really that focused on it, and it was more just like I should do this, and there not much planning went into it. And I just, it started with me with one of my friends talking about up and coming Cubas. So something that's quite funny is the first episode I did, I talked about James Alonso, 2.5 years before he beat me in the UK Champs 3x3 final. So that's quite funny. I was talking about how good he was then and how good he was going to become. And then I was very correct with everything. So I was quite happy with my predictions in that. But that lasted for a bit. Then I got a bit bored. It kind of turned into me interviewing people. And then I ran out of ideas and that died off. But I had been thinking about either restarting that or restarting a new podcast for a while. So middle of this year, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, mostly like comedy stuff. And I was like, I want to do one of these. I want to do a podcast, and I want to make it cubing related, and I want to make it about me as well. Instead of my last one was about other people with me as the host. I wanted this one to also be centered around me, because then I could recreate it every week, because I was always doing stuff. There was always something to talk about. So I very much had the idea of leave the focus of the podcast quite vague, so it can evolve with you and not be so set in stone. But I tried really hard on the podcast. Like I did a lot of listening to other podcasts, a lot of thinking, a lot of watching videos, trying to plan it out well. I paid one of my friends to make a cool logo, which was inspired off a different podcast's logo. I spent a lot of time thinking about how I would structure it, but I think it was all a bit too much, and I did too much work on it. And after 7 episodes, and when I was starting to go to a lot of competitions, I wasn't in the right headspace and I didn't have enough energy to come back from a competition, do a lot of research on how other competitions are done, because that was a segment I did. I talked about recent results and upcoming results that might happen. I wasn't really in a headspace to get back from a competition and immediately jump into working on the podcast and get it done quick enough to then be able to recover in time for the next competition the next weekend. So it wasn't really sustainable to go to loads of competitions, and 2, produce a podcast I was proud of. So eventually competitions took priority, and then I tried to do the vlogs as well, because those were more, I was able to do those kind of quicker and also think about them during the competition. So I think it kind of suited me better.
I mean, did you used to listen to any cubing podcasts in that time?
Well, I listened to the Andrew Nathanson and Kit Clement one, Layer by Layer, when they were doing that. But that seems to have died now. I don't think I really listened to cubing podcasts, because I don't think there's any good ones, really.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple, and I just don't really enjoy listening to them, because I think, one, they're not as well produced as like a top normal podcast, and 2, I don't think they were kind of targeted towards me as a top level competitor. They were targeted towards the general cubing population, which I feel like everything they were talking about I would already know, and I wasn't really gaining anything from those, so I wasn't listening to many. No,
I think my problem with cubing podcasts is that they're all focused on like cubing theory, sort of like the methods, the WCA related stuff. Like, I'm not too interested in that side of cubing. I'm more interested in like the content side, maybe some more like the casual aspects of cubing. So I didn't usually used to listen to those. I only came across them and had a little listen to see what's currently out there, so that we could make something different. But
that's cool.
I think a lot of podcasts die out very quickly. there aren't that many cubing podcasts that last more than like 20 episodes. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need to be consistent and build like a loyal viewer base to do a cubing podcast. So that's my thoughts on cubing podcasts.
Yeah, I think it was just, I was putting so much into it and I was getting some decent numbers. Like I think each episode was getting around 200 to 300 listens.
That's really good.
Which is solid, but I'm not making any money from it. And I was putting in so much effort into each episode and trying to craft them and think of lots of creative ideas. And I think I wasn't committed enough to do that for long enough where I would start to make money.
Right.
I just had other focuses in life, so I couldn't really commit to the months and months of work without making any money.
I mean, what do you think you learned from that process of making podcasts that you can then pass on to someone else?
That's a good question. Definitely be prepared for burnout and have backup plans. If you want to keep consistent, you need backup plans for if you're tired or if you're ill or if you just have no ideas for a week. So have loads of ideas backed up, maybe even have some recordings backed up so you can just chuck out a random episode if you really don't feel like working on anything. That's something I should have done. But be aware that it does take a lot of time, and don't start it if you don't think you can continue it forever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but probably something like that, yeah.
I mean, what a lot of people don't mention in terms of cubing podcasts is a lot of work goes into preparing the podcast, like writing the notes and the scripts and whatever. Like, in order to make a podcast run smoothly, you need a lot of preparation, and people don't see that. So they go into the process, just wing it for a few episodes, and then realize, like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what I did with my third podcast. It was just like a couple of notes that I'd spent a few minutes writing up and then just hit record and see what happens. So then after I did a few, it wasn't really, like recreatable because I didn't actually know what I was doing. I was just kind of YOLOing the record button.
Yeah. I mean, let's move on to your future plans and then we'll wrap it up. So what are your plans for the next year/3 years/5 years in cubing?
The truth is I have absolutely no idea. I want to continue competing and I want to continue being competitive, and I also want to continue going to competitions and meeting people.
Yep.
I guess those are kind of separate things. And I would like it. I definitely would love cubing to be my full-time career. So I will probably experiment with some more things next year. Maybe experiment with more content creation. I'm also interested in maybe starting like a kind of tutoring program for like the younger cubers in the UK and stuff like that. Kind of market it more towards parents, and I'm like a tutor, so it kind of becomes a thing like their kid does just like dance or guitar or one of those extracurricular things they do in the week. I think that could be a thing I might go for because that's a good way of making money. And I also love seeing cubers improve and helping them improve. So I think that's something I might do. I don't know where I'm going to be living over the next few years. More recently, I've become tempted to move to Australia because the cubing's really good there and I really like it as a country. Maybe I'll move back to New Zealand. I honestly have no idea. So it's all a bit up in the air for me at the moment. But I definitely see myself focusing on cubing for the next few years at least.
What do you say your goals are in terms of your YouTube stuff, like your YouTube content?
I want to make better vlogs. I want to do more of these vlogs. I want to be able to make them with a really good story in mind and kind of story tell my travel and my experience living with cubing as my main focus. I want to be able to tell that story a lot better. I don't really have any number goals. Obviously, it would be nice to start to make money from it. Maybe that's my only kind of goal. so get monetized next year, I guess.
Do you have any plans on like venturing out into other platforms like YouTube Shorts or TikTok?
I don't think so. Maybe I will put clips from vlogs into like a short format to put on YouTube and TikTok, but I think I'd more use that as promotion for my vlogs. I think that would still be my focus because that's what I'm like passionate about. I'm passionate about long style storytelling. Like that's what I watch. So that's what I want to make. But I think in terms of having growth in mind, I will probably use YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram Reels to help grow the vlogs.
What do you think the cubing scene would look like in 5 years?
I think it's going to look like a real sport.
Right.
And I hope it's going to look like a real sport. And I have some interest in joining WCA teams to help that process. That's something I'm thinking about recently.
What does a real sport look like? Like, what do you mean by real sport?
Lots of sponsorship, lots of money, focused for spectators, like spectators in mind. I think all of the WCA should start thinking about paying their employees so they're working harder on growing the sport. So yeah, stuff like that. Just like more money really, and more people outside of the hobby becoming interested in it because it's spectator friendly for them.
So how do you think that'll happen?
With more money. I think the moment people start to make money from organizing competitions, then they're going to have the incentive of chasing the big sponsorships to help fund the really good live streams and stuff like we saw at Euros. Yeah, it's just money, really. I think money would grow the sport immensely.
What Laser Monkey did with Monkey League is that he made cubing very entertaining to watch, as opposed to just people doing solves. So I think it's the way the broadcast is formatted that makes it entertaining. The
whole format of World Championships needs rethinking completely. Because at the moment, the only spectator-friendly things are like the 3x3 final or that like fun relay they do sometimes, like the Nations Cup.
Yeah.
Like those are the only two things that are made for spectators, where I think hopefully within 5 years, maybe it might be 10 years, I'm not sure, the whole World Championship will be catered to spectators. That's what I want to see, and that's what I hope it will be like.
So before we wrap things up, we'll do a quick trivia challenge. So I've got
I'm excited.
cubing trivia questions, and I'm going to see how many you can get right. So, okay, let's get started.
Okay.
So Leo Borromeo is from which country?
Philippines.
Yep. Who had the 3x3 single world record before Yu Shengdu?
Felix Zemdegs.
Yep. Which year was the Volk Elite released?
2018.
Nope, it was 2019.
No, 2019. The Volk Power was late 2017, early 2018. Okay.
Which Cuba won for 3x3 in Worlds 2017?
Max Park.
Yeah. What is the name of Cubehead's second channel?
Nah, is it just like Cubehead 2 or Cubeheads or something? I don't know.
It's Cubehead Clips. It's his Clips channel.
Cubehead Clips. That's it.
The logo on the X-Man Bell V2 Pyraminx is on which face?
Yellow?
Yeah, it is yellow. To the nearest £10, what is the cost of the GAN 13 on Cubes UK?
70?
70, that's right. How do you say Rubik's Cube in Spanish?
Magico Cubo?
So it's
or something?
Cubo de Rubik, apparently.
Cubo de Rubik. Yeah, magic. That's like magic.
Yeah,
cube,
magic
like
cube. Yeah, I think I'll give you that because I can't verify if you're correct or not. So, what's the best-selling 3x3 flagship on Cubes UK?
Tornado V3.
So at the time of me producing these answers, it was the GAN 11M Pro, which I still think it should be. Who has more subs, Cubehead or Cube for Speed?
Cubehead.
I think it is Cubehead, yeah. To the nearest second, what time do you need for top 100 3x3 single?
I think it's like 5.1.
It is, yeah. So what was the answer to the first question I asked?
The first question of this quiz?
Trivia, yeah.
So you did the Yushengdu one. I'm not sure if that was... I think it might have been the one before that was the first one. Oh, Philippines.
It was Philippines, yep. And then final question, the Gan Kun Limited Edition 11M Pro was in what colour?
No idea. Like lime green?
Apparently it was purple. So that was all the questions
no
I had.
idea.
Do you have anything you want to plug into the podcast?
Follow me on YouTube and Instagram. I think it's both like at Chris Mills Speedcuber. Check me out those if you wanna see more. I also, if you're interested in that podcast I made, Mills' Speedcubing show, there's still 7 episodes up you can listen to.
All right, and that's all we have for this episode of the Cubing Couch. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.